I feel like I'm playing with the cat for the camera. It's the most insincere thing I've ever done. Hi, I'm Riley Hawk, and this video is me talking about my new song Witness, inspired by 13 Reasons Why. So I say this song is to Hannah, and the obvious, it begs the question, or begs the response, Hannah's not a real person. Hannah Baker does not exist. Which is true. It's true. Okay. But the reason that I think it is valuable to think of Hannah as a real person is because of the limitations that we face in ordinary life in knowing one another. In stories, we're basically granted inside information about that person's inner world. And I think that, we don't get to see other people's inner worlds. Someone could be our best friend, someone could be our spouse, and we still don't get to see their inner worlds. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how well you know them. It doesn't matter how much time you spend with them. You don't know what life is like for them. And when somebody creates art, when somebody's telling a story and creates a character and describes that character and shows you what that character's inner world is like, it is like the only window we have into knowing each other. And that's something that's real. It is. So anybody could know somebody like Hannah Baker. So maybe somebody can relate to how she's feeling, and it validates how they're feeling, which is so important. It's so easy to feel like alone and like you're the only person that feels that way. And just knowing that there's somebody else that feels that way is like, it feels really good to know that. And this song is to the real people who are Hannah, essentially. My wife and I watched 13 Reasons Why over the course of a couple days or whatever. And then when it ended, we had like a really good talk about my depression. And I felt like, I just felt like, it was a good opportunity to talk about it, I guess. And something that my wife said to me, her name is Jessica, something that Jessica said was like, I see you trying. And that felt really good because I try really hard, and I think that knowing that like somebody like sees you is a really healing kind of thing. So that I ended up calling the song Witness, right? And I guess I just like the title better, but it's the same kind of thing. It's like this song is not, it doesn't have a message. It doesn't have a message. It's just an I see you, I chose to end the song like I did on it's a really unresolved note, like I saw you stealing razor blades. I heard the reasons why. And it's this it's like a very serious thing that I saw, it's like I saw you stealing razor blades. I heard why you killed yourself. It's not judgmental in any way. It's just saying, I saw all these things that happened to you. I'm not necessarily trying to paint a picture to say, oh, poor Hannah. I'm not trying to paint a picture to say she should have done better, or that she was selfish for killing herself, or whatever. I'm just saying, I see you. I see what you went through. I see that you killed yourself. I heard why, and just ending it there, which is very uncomfortable. We really like to resolve. In music, there's resolutions, you always want to resolve on like the root note, or of the scale or whatever. And I wanted to leave it a little bit unresolved. I just leave it at an ICU. So, yeah. So one of the things from the show that I guess I'm a little bit, well, I'll just say I would have done something. I feel like I would have done something different if I were the counselor, in the 13th episode, and Hannah had come to see me. And I think maybe the reason that they did it this way was even more of a practical reason. Like it's a 60-minute show or whatever, and they only have a certain amount of time. But it really seemed like he was rushing her. You know, she sat down and he was just like, question, 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 you know, like, you know, were you raped? Okay, if you weren't, you're gonna have to just get over it. Like, just, it's just like very like bam, 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 questions, questions. You're gonna have to give me more than that. I want to help you, but you're gonna have to explain yourself to me, you know, that kind of stuff. And I'm just like, whoa, like, and so that's kind of where like the beginning of the song came from. I thought to myself, like, okay, if I were the counselor, what would my approach be? And that's where, like, you know, come rest a while. You don't have to smile. You don't have to talk. Trying to make her feel comfortable. That was what I felt like he should have done, was help her to feel comfortable and safe, you know, and then maybe try to talk to her about what happened, try to find out what happened. And I understand, you know, he was feeling rushed or pressured or whatever. I think for the chorus, like, I went through a bit of, you remember, like, I was like, the lyrics as they are kind of, they're quite similar to the very first lyrics I came up with. And I said to myself, these are cliche, come up with something more interesting. But I ended up kind of going back to something that was a little bit cliche, because I think I like take it to an interesting place, and it's more powerful in a way. It's, you know, the metaphor of like swimming back to the shore. It's kind of cliche, but then you pair it with like all the while second guessing if it matters anymore. It paints a really kind of, you can feel, you know, how it might feel to be in a dark ocean, and you don't even know which direction to swim in, but you're trying to swim back to the shore, and that's hard enough. And there's a voice inside your head saying it's not worth it, and that just adds to the difficulty. So that, to me, it was powerful enough. And I really wanted to convey the line of you grasp at who you used to be until you feel fake, because I think that's something that I feel very strongly about, you know, with depression, is that you kind of like, you start to realize that you don't feel the way you used to feel, and you start to question things, you know, like, do I love these people anymore that I love? And it's this, like, it's this pressure to act as though nothing's wrong. It's this pressure to not, like, set off any alarm bells in other people. And I guess one of the reasons is just that, like, you don't want them to, like, make a big deal out of it, you know? Because people do make a big deal out of it. There's this whole, like, thing, like, you know, are you okay? Like, oh, how are you doing? And the answer is good. The answer is fine. You know, the answer is I'm okay. That's the answer. It's like, if you deviate from that, it becomes this, like, big fucking deal. And people want to avoid that. I want to avoid that. It's uncomfortable. It's, like, weird, you know? So, and I think the result of spending so much time, you know, acting like yourself, you know, you start to feel fake, and it's like there's this pane of glass between you and other people, and it just gets thicker and thicker, and, like, you can't reach them, and, you know, there's just loss of connection. So you know, that's why I wanted to put that line in there, and I hope it makes sense. You know, you're grasping at who you used to be until you feel fake. So that was another portion of the song. And the bridge, I think I wanted to highlight how difficult it is to talk about. I think I told you this one time, right, too? Like, when you have depression, it's like, you know, they say, like, I said in the song, nobody taught you the words for this. Because the words are basically like, all this, like, I have a problem with all this, you know? All this is not working for me. And that's not something you can say. It's a feeling that exists so outside of the context of reality, of everyone else's reality, of society, of things that we're taught how to talk about, that you need a mind reader, you know, and it feels like you need a mind reader. And I remember being a teenager and wanting, you know, desperately for people to be able to read my mind, because I just couldn't tell them how I was feeling. And I don't know why. And I think that's not something that I struggle with so much anymore. You know, I feel very comfortable talking to you about things, which is really nice. But certainly, especially, as a teenager, it's so hard, I think, to talk about those kind of things. I'm getting very cold. That's why I have this tea.